I like the British accent better though. It's sophisticated.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
So yes, the lovely Amanda Diva is in town in London right about now. What are you doing over here?
Actually, I'm chilling.
Chilling?
I was in Paris and I was in Berlin doing shows, and I was like, well, I can't come across the water and not stop through and see my London folks. So came through, and I actually ran into J Electronica, who just happened to be in town. So that was dope. Hit up Smash,
yes.
You know, the homie. And, you know, I plan to be back more often.
That's what's up.
Because I just like it better over here.
I hear that. Yeah, a lot of people on Twitter's been saying, you know, they want to see you doing shows over here. Is that something that's going to happen soon?
I would definitely love for that to happen soon. You know, when you find out you have a following somewhere,
right,
you're like, oh, I guess we can do that. But, you know, so I oftentimes don't know how far, like, the music or the work is reaching. So it's really exciting to find out that, you know, there's even an awareness over here.
Now, for those people that don't know about you, what would you tell them about yourself? Like, how did you start up in the game? We love these new school kids out these days. You know, they don't know
youth.
Much. The youth.
Most people know me from in the States. I was hosting on MTV2, and I used to do poetry for Def Poetry Jam. And I started doing the music just because I love music.
Right.
And you know, I've worked with the Roots. I'm on Q-Tip's last album. I've definitely had a really good time working with like groups like Floetry. I replaced Natalie in Floetry, you know, and that was how I came up. So at this point, you know, I've come into my own as an artist, and you know, it's definitely soulful, and there's hip hop in there, and there's all different types of elements. It's just good music. And my next project is called Technicolor Lover, and the single is called Man Child, and Ski Beats produced that. A lot of people know Ski Beats, who works with Currency, and he worked with Jay-Z and whatnot. So that's where I'm at. And there really aren't any women really doing that, you know.
Definitely. Yeah, big up Ski Beats. You know, he's been working with Terry Walker as well.
Yes! You know. Terry Walker, my sister.
Yeah, I haven't seen Terry for a minute.
Yeah, she sang backgrounds on my song Man Child.
Oh, that's what's up.
There you go. The British
connection.
Yes,
what's up.
UK.
So definitely on the music scene, I think the first track I heard was the 40 MCs.
Yeah.
Which I guess came about from you doing the Def Poetry Jam, right?
No, actually the song came before the poem. But you know, 40 MCs is a song about how like everybody wants to be a rapper, but they're not really dedicated per se. They just want to be a rapper because of how it looks, or because of the, you know, the stigma, like if you're hanging with certain people, it makes you look like you have a crew, or they want to be a rapper because they actually think they can rap and they can't. And it's a very important distinction to make.
True, true.
You know, but I feel like, you know, to me it's just about art, and you know, folks don't respect MCing as an art like they should, and I feel like if you don't respect it as an art form, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
Period.
Right. No, I definitely feel that. You know, definitely now, with the way like the internet is, you know, everyone thinks they can just jump up in the technology so much cheaper that everyone feels that they can just jump on GarageBand or whatever, make a song, throw up on YouTube.
Same for DJs.
True, same for DJs.
Serato.
With technology. Serato, but I use Tractor now, so big up Native Instruments. You know,
okay, dope. No problem, no problem.
So yeah, man. But yeah, so you know, for like people that are kind of like thinking to get into the game and they do want to be dedicated, you've been in the industry, what advice would you give to them?
Stick to your guns.
Okay.
It may sound cliche, it may sound like, you know, that's easier said than done, and they're right, it is easier said than done, because in the music industry, it's like people are just firing away at you all the time. And it's very difficult to just stay put and stick to your guns when everyone's firing at you, you know. And the reality is that there's so much music out here these days. There's so many artists. You know, you may seem tempted to be like, maybe I need to switch up my style to be more like this artist because they're having success, or maybe I need to work with this producer even though it's not what I want to do artistically, but they're popping, so maybe I need to do that. And you know, the reality is that anytime that you stray from what's natural to you, you know, you're gonna end up not in a good place. And I'm not saying you don't open your mind and try new things, but when you're trying something because you want to be like somebody else, as opposed to because you want to expand who you are for self, you're gonna lose. And that goes for the music business and everything else.
Definitely very good advice. Also, another thing that I know about you, which I've seen, the first time I met you was in New York. And I think the second time I saw you, you invited me to see you painting outside a club up on the east side.
Yeah, wow.
'Cause, you know, I get around.
Yeah, I forgot.
Houston.
Okay. Showing off right now. You're showing off right now. You know, we know you know New York. Yeah. Shouting out blocks.
You know.
So I feel like we're in a video. Houston Street, you know what I mean? Like.
So yeah, how did you get into, you know, painting and stuff like that?
I always painted, but I never like put it out there. Okay. And then I was doing an interview. I was on a panel with Swiss Beats, and when I get bored, I doodle.
Right.
And so I was doodling, and Swiss was like, "Yo, that's crazy. You need to put that on a canvas. Showtime." You know, and I was like, "That's a good idea." Right. So at the time, he had a studio, and I used to go and actually paint at the studio. Okay. And you know, he's really into art, and he's an art seller, art buyer, art maker. So you know, it was a really cool connection. And from there, you know, I gotta say, I can really safely thank Twitter for really putting my art to another audience, because you know, I'm not really adept with the art world in terms of how to get your art out there and galleries and all that. It's a whole different ballgame. Right. But and also for me, like, I never wanted my art to be like something that I'm living off of, because once you start having to live off something, you have to start compromising in ways that maybe you don't want to artistically. And you have to do that enough with music, you have to do that enough with hosting. I never wanted that to be the case with my painting. So it's just been real organic in getting it out there. But it's dope when you put a painting up and then Swiss retweets it, and then Puff retweets it, and next thing you know, you got 67,000 people across the world that have seen a painting that you just did in your living room. You know, so that's something that it's like not in the background, but it's just, I keep it, you know, just in my pocket. And as I continue to progress with my career, you know, I want to definitely bring it out more and more and more. But you know, the live painting is so fun. You know, in the States we do this whole thing where at parties we'll just set up a blank canvas. By the end of the party, it's a masterpiece. And that's something I definitely would love to bring over here too. So let me know when, London. Let me know when.
Definitely. Yeah, because, you know, I've seen your work. I've been in your house. You know, I've seen the artwork.
Show off. You saw how he dropped that? I've been in your house. That's because it's my homie right here. It's my homie. He even bought a bag for his mum.
Yes, you know.
Because I paint bags.
Yes, you know, my mum feels that she's heavy on the block now.
Dope.
You know.
She should.
Yeah.
She should. Go, Mom.
So yeah, so how else can people get your artwork? You know, you
can check out divaworksofart.com, or you can go to amandadiva.com and you can check out everything. Because aside from the music and the artwork, I've been doing a lot of comedy and working on a television show with Nick Cannon. So hopefully that won't just be able to be seen in the States. Hopefully that'll be available. And you know, I'm just I'm just representing for women especially, but just for people in general who are about realness. What'd you say?
Hillary Clinton.
Nah, no Hillary Clinton over here. Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama. Change. We can. Yes, we can. You know, just genuine and real chicks and, you know, real people. There's not enough of that. I feel a lot of posing going on, a lot of pretenders, and it's time to get them out of here.